Good evening. Time now for Nicholls State University Sports. I'm Jimmie Cole reporting. Good news and bad news for the New Orleans Saints. First, the bad news. Veteran linebacker Rick Kingley is out for the season with cartilage damage in his knee. He was sidelined with the injury in Sunday's upset victory over the Vikings. Now, the good news. In his place, the team activated a free agent, a young man that was among the last cut by the Saints in the year's preseason. A young man from Nicholls State University. A young man named Rebowe. Congratulations. We'll have more in a moment. Nicholls State University Sports is brought to you in part by the NSU Boosters, who are Baloo's Auto Parts, 1304 Canal Boulevard. Bonaparte Fried Chicken, Canal Boulevard, Thibodaux. Cycle World, Thibodaux and Houma. Johnny's Men's Shop, Thibodaux and Houma. Petries Call, 1704 Ridgefield Avenue. Riviera Insurance, 412 Canal Boulevard. South Coast Gas Corporation. Cajun Trophy and Variety Shop. Lafourche National Bank. Thibodaux, Wasteland and Lockport. God Shows in the Southland Mall. Jones Insurance, 605 East 1st Street. Senator Harvey Fellowshade Jr., President of the Board of Trustees for Higher Education. People's Federal Savings and Loan, Thibodaux. Sternfeld Insurance, Nicholls Shopping Center, and Burger Chef in Thibodaux and Houma. Well, this Saturday will mark the fourth time Nicholls State University in Northeast Louisiana has clashed on the gridiron. It will be the first game this year for the Indians, and will give the Colonels a break in GSC action before taking on two more Gulf South teams, Jacksonville State and Troy State. The Big Red is currently 1-0 in GSC action, and if I had to give an MVP award for last week's game, it would have to go to James Berry, the young freshman tailback from Florida.
So Saturday going into the game, I felt fine. I wasn't nervous or nothing. I just felt like I had to do a job, and I went out there and I did the best I could do, and hopefully I can keep on doing it.
James Berry. Another outstanding player in Saturday's game is sophomore Steve Sills, a defensive end from Pasadena, Texas, who scored Nicholls' first TD of the season by falling on a blocked punt in the end zone. Good for 6.
The defense had a pretty big factor of the game, holding Tennessee Tech in 10 points. The blocked punt was the first touchdown I had in college. When I just lined up, they called block punt, and I kind of had a feeling we were going to block it because they didn't really know how to block on the punt team that well. So I just kind of contained, went around, contained the punt, and when basically blocked it, they rolled about a yard from the goal line, and I jumped on it and it popped back out. And then it popped up, went about 5 more yards up in the end zone, and I was on my hands and knees, and I went covered again within about a foot from the end line when it almost rolled out.
Steve Sills, Nicholls State defensive end. We'll have a final note in a moment. Nicholls State University Sports is brought to you in part by First Federal Savings and Loan, 200 Canal Boulevard, Hoffman-Sims Insurance, 507 St. Philip, Barbera Brothers Chevrolet, 1519 Canal Boulevard, Pit Grill, Highway 1, Thibodaux, Hopes for Parts, Thibodaux, Lockport, Schriever, Vassar, Graceland, and LaRose, South Louisiana Savings and Loan, St. Mary Street, Thibodaux, Art Electronics in Thibodaux, West Brothers in the Nicholls Shopping Center, Terrebonne Bank and Trust, Houma and Schriever, Post Printing, West 3rd, Thibodaux, Lerex Golf, 210 Schriever Highway, Sheraton Inn, Thibodaux, Peacock Jewelry, 501 West 3rd Street, and First National Bank of Houma. Once again, congratulations to New Orleans Saints linebacker Rebowe. And let's hope we can extend the same congratulations to James Berry, Steve Sills, and the rest of the Colonels after this Saturday's game. Nicholls State University Sports is a presentation of the sports department of this radio station. I'm Jimmie Cole reporting. Good evening. Good evening. Time now for Nicholls State University Sports. I'm Jimmie Cole reporting. The Gulf South Conference has named Troy State's Eddie Rebowe Offensive Player of the Week, and Curtis Williams of Tennessee Martin collected Defensive Player of the Week honors in the conference this week. Williams, a defensive safety, had 12 tackles, 3 assists, and 2 interceptions for his team, and believe it or not, they still lost that game to Mississippi College. Well, Rebowe hit for 12 of 18 passes for 188 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead Troy State to a 38-7 victory over Livingston. Rebowe also rushed for 21 yards and a touchdown. We'll have more on this story and others coming up for you in a moment. Today's sports is brought to you in part by the Nicholls State University Boosters, who are Ballou's Auto Parts, 1304 Canal Boulevard, Bonaparte Fried Chicken, North and South Canal Boulevard, Cycle World in Thibodaux and Houma, Johnny's Hen Shop, Thibodaux and Houma, Petries Golf, 1704 Ridgefield Avenue, Riviera Insurance, 412 Canal Boulevard, South Coast Gas Corporation, Cajun Trophy and Variety Shop, Lafourche National Bank, Thibodaux, Raceland, and Lockport, God Shows in the Southland Mall, Jones Insurance, 605 East 1st Street, Senator Harvey Felche, Jr., President of the Board of Trustees for Higher Education, People's Federal Savings and Loan, Thibodaux, Sternfeld Insurance, Nicholls Shopping Center, Burger Chefs in Thibodaux and Houma, and First Federal Savings and Loan, 200 Canal Boulevard. Troy State's quarterback Eddie Rebowe is the new passing leader in this week's Gulf South Conference football statistics released through the Office of Commissioner Stan Galloway. Rebowe improved his completion per game average to 9.3 for the season to replace last week's leader Bobby Ray Green of Jacksonville State, who dropped to 9.0. Rebowe also moved up to second place in total offense, averaging 155 yards per game. The TSU signal caller trails Mississippi College's Ezra Tate, who continues to lead the GSC in 3 categories. Tate sets the pace in total offense and rushing offense with 184 averages, and in scoring with 30 points and a 7.5 mark. Another new leader this week is Livingston University's Randall Mallard in kickoff returns. Mallard has a 40 return mark. Other leaders include Jacksonville's Butch Barker in pass receiving with a 4.2 catches per game, Troy's Mike Quinn in punting with 45.8 average, Nicholls State's Dwight Walker in punt returns with a 17.5 mark, and Brent Boyd of Nicholls and Southeastern Louisiana University's Anthony Vereen tied with 4 interceptions each. Mississippi College and Jacksonville State share the offensive leads. NC tops the GSC in total offense with 390.5 and rushing offense 331.3, while Jacksonville State is the top passing team with 156.8 and leader in scoring with 23.7. Defensively, Southeastern continues to set the pace, topping the figures in total defense 167.5, rushing defense with 100, and scoring defense with 6 points. Mississippi College surged to the top in passing defense with 55.2 to break SLU's defensive monopoly. We'll have a final note in a moment. Nicholls State University Sports is brought to you in part by the NSU Boosters, who are Hoffman Sims Insurance, 507 St. Philip, Barbera Brothers Chevrolet, 1519 Canal Boulevard, Big Grill, Highway 1, Thibodaux, Hopes for Parts, Thibodaux, Lockport, Schliever, Vacherie, Raceland, and LaRose, South Louisiana Savings and Loan, St. Mary Street, Thibodaux, Art Electronics in Thibodaux, West Brothers in the Nicholls Shopping Center, Terrebonne Bank and Trust Company, Houma and Schliever, Post Printing, West 3rd, Thibodaux, Lee Retz Golf, 210 Schliever Highway, Sheraton Inn, Thibodaux, Peacock Joy, 501 West 3rd Street, First National Bank of Houma, and Walter K. Knockin, his golf distributor, also by Bill's Ace Hardware. Well, the Colonels were off last week. Let's hope it did them some good. They had a chance to recover for some football injuries, and they also had a chance to look back on the season and also look ahead. This week against McNeese State University. Let's hope they can go into Lake Charles and come back with some of these records for the Gulf South Conference. Nicholls State University Sports is a presentation of the sports department of this radio station. I'm Jimmie Cole reporting. Good evening. Today, we talk football with the football team. First of all, senior flanker K.Davis, a parody, talks about Nicholls-McNeese rivalry, which will be renewed this weekend in Lake Charles. Davis also talks on this year's Cowboy team and what effects last year's upset win by the Colonels will play in this season's game.
The rivalry that we have with McNeese has been a big one since I've been here. Last year we happened to get by a score of 24-7, and I think this year they're going to really be prepared for us. The guards going to be up and they want to win this one. I think we just really humiliated them because that was their homecoming and everything. As far as this year goes, they have a pretty good team. They played a good game against Louisiana Tech last week. You know, and they lost that, I think, in the last couple of seconds. But overall, they have a real good ball club this year, and we're looking forward to that game.
Coming up next, we're going to talk to a freshman cornerback, Mike Clark. Nicholls State University Sports is brought to you in part by the NSU Boosters, who are Hoffman Sims Insurance, 507 St. Philip, Barbera Brothers Chevrolet, 1519 Canal Boulevard, Big Grill, Highway 1, Thibodaux, Hopes for Parts, Thibodaux, Lockport, Rebowe, Vacherie, Raceland, and Rebowe, South Louisiana Savings and Loan, St. Mary Street, Thibodaux, Art Electronics in Thibodaux, Rush Brothers in the Nicholls Shopping Center, Terrebonne Bank and Trust Company, Houma and Schriever, Post Printing, West 3rd, Thibodaux, Lee Retz Golf, 210 Schriever Highway, Sheraton Inn, Thibodaux, Peacock Joy, 501 West 3rd Street, First National Bank of Houma, and Walter K. Zocknotkin, your Gulf distributor. Also, Bill's Ace Hardware. Nicholls State University Colonel's freshman cornerback Mike Clark of Denham Springs talks on what he expects in the defensive secondary as a starter for the rest of the season. Clark has started every game this season and currently has 2 interceptions, including 1 in his first college game against Tennessee Tech.
Going into the second half of the season, I feel that my play as a defensive cornerback I should improve more because the team is going to pick on me because I'm a freshman, and like the other guys that have more experience, and they'll rather pick on a freshman than they would experience. And I feel that the other guys in the secondary should play a bigger part on our defense in the second half of the season also, because we really need to improve.
That is freshman cornerback Mike Clark of Denham Springs. Once again, this weekend, the Colonels will be taking on the Cowboys of McNeese. That game will start tomorrow night at 7:30 in Lake Charles. If you can't be there, join us on KHOM FM 104 for the voice of the Colonels, Roy Pugh. Nicholls State University Sports is a presentation of the sports department of this radio station. I'm Jimmie Cole reporting. Good evening. Good evening. Time out for Nicholls State University Sports. I'm Jimmie Cole reporting. Today, we focus on a substitute. You know, you won't find offensive lineman Archie Reeves of Nicholls State University being mentioned by many opposing football coaches. You won't find him being talked about by the pro scouts or written up by local sports writers. In fact, most of the time, you won't even see him in the Nicholls State starting football lineup this year. But don't let these insignificant points mislead you, because Archie Reeves, Nicholls State's veteran backup offensive lineman, is the most valuable player the Colonels don't have on the field. Reeves has shown remarkable ability to fill in every position on the offensive line. That's no easy trick. His freshman and sophomore years were spent as a relief man for Nicholls, then as Greg Wilson and later Tommy Boone. Last season, Reeves was shifted to guard, and he alternated much of the year with Don McDowell. Again, this season, he has moved to yet another offensive position. He's a tackle now. Nicholls' talented offensive line combination of Boone, McDowell, George Perry, Edward Foote, and Richard Curlin haven't allowed Reeves much playing time so far, yet when Reeves has managed to get into the field, he has displayed a football knack that has kept him confident of his own ability. We'll talk to Reeves in a moment. bench and playing a reserve capacity hasn't soared Reeves' football philosophy very much. In a football world where recruiting violations and payolas steal all too much of the college football headlines, his outlook on the game is a flashback to a time when players wore leather helmets and Newt Rockne preached sportsmanship and desire. For Reeves, coming out during the spring and helping the freshmen learn the Nicholls system and aiding them in their adjustment to college football is as big a task as opening a hole in the goal line. During the season, Reeves, a 3-year letterman, solidifies the Nicholls offensive line with his enthusiasm and hard work. I guess you might call him the All-American football player, the All-American boy. Well, that All-American's going to be going up against a tough McNeese team this week. And what does he expect?
I feel that McNeese is going to be very tough this week. We got after them pretty good last year. It was a physical game, plus there's a lot of verbal contact going on. And after the game, we like to have a little collision. And they're going to be wanting to get us this year because last year we spoiled their homecoming pretty bad.
Archie Reeves. Nicholls State University Sports is brought to you in part by the NSU Boosters, who are Hoffman Sims Insurance, 507 St. Philip, Barbera Brothers Chevrolet, 1519 Canal Boulevard, Big Grill, Highway 1, Thibodaux, Hopes for Parts, Thibodaux, Lockport, Weaver, Vassary, Raceland, and LaRose, South Louisiana Savings and Loan, St. Mary Street, Thibodaux, Art Electronics in Thibodaux, West Brothers in the Nicholls Shopping Center, Terrebonne Bank and Trust Company, Houma and Schriever, Post Printing, West 3rd, Thibodaux, Lee Retz Gulf, 210 Schriever Highway, Sheraton Inn, Thibodaux, Peacock Joy, 501 West 3rd Street, First National Bank of Houma, and Walter K. Knockin, your Gulf distributor. Also by Bill's Ace Hardware. He's not an All-American football player, although he may be an All-American kid. As a matter of fact, according to Coach Raymond, the Nicholls State offensive line coach, well, Archie is one of the finest kids I've ever had the pleasure to work with. He has a big heart and is a totally unselfish football player. Well, that concludes our feature on Archie Reeves, a substitute lineman. No glory, but a lot of fun. Nicholls State University football is a presentation of the sports department of this radio station. I'm Jimmie Cole reporting. Have a good evening.